This is the Khmer Times News. My name is Paolo Bonini, and these are your headlines. Children in 12 Cambodian provinces are so short of food they are starving. A man with the world's biggest knife goes on the rampage. And it's been so damn hot, people have been dying. But first is to our headline story. The Council for Rural Development has announced that 12 provinces are facing incidents of child wasting due to severe malnutrition. Now, firstly, let me clarify what wasting due to malnutrition actually means. What the WHO quotes wasting as is low weight to height ratio, meaning children going hungry on a regular basis so much that it is affecting their physical development. The Ministry of Rural Development said, according to the UNICEF report, wasting of children under 5 years old is still a major problem. Back in 2014, it affected 10% of the population, and now, 10 years later, that rate is 9.8%, dropping just 0.2% in a decade. Of the 12 provinces experiencing incidents of child wasting, they include Siem Reap, Preah Vihear and Pasat. But it is Kampong Chang that has the highest rate of child wasting, affecting up to 30% of young children in that area. And that is an incredible percentage. So what is to be done about it? Well, the chairman of Rural Development says Cambodia is preparing its third national strategy on food security. And he said in his speech, "We observe that the nation has continued to produce agricultural products in excess of demand, especially rice, which means the food is available." But alas, it was also noted that according to the Cambodian Health Survey for 2022, 22% of children under 5 are stunted, 10% are wasted, and 16% are underweight. So, the disparity seems to be not is there food available, it is in supplying these needy families that are so very poor they cannot feed their own children. And with birth rates dropping globally, it has never been more apparent that this generation needs to be cared for, as they are very much the country's future. On this week's Crime Desk, a man robs even the frail and the old. And do you remember by chance when Crocodile Dundee got out that knife and he said, "No, this is a knife"? Well, he never met Cambodian Dundee, for surely if he did, he would have run a mile. Now, we have 2 stories of serious assaults with knives. The second one of these stories will amaze you. But let us first start with an incident that has done absolutely nothing to help Sihanoukville shake its reputation as a place that does have more than its fair share of violent crime, as a Chinese man has very seriously injured another in a fight. Now, this particular assault was carried out in the most deranged of places, for it was in a hotel lobby that an altercation broke out, and it ended up with one Chinese man stabbing the other right there in the hotel lobby, witnessed by all those in the lobby itself, but of course by every watchful eye of the CCTV cameras as well. The incident took place one evening last week at Naha International Hotel in Sihanoukville, and reports say there were in fact two gangs of Chinese nationals who had got into a heated argument. And it was then that one man plunged a knife into his victim's stomach. The man fell to the ground. The gangs then fled. The man was left bleeding profusely and was rushed to hospital for emergency treatment. An investigation is underway, and the police are hunting those men from that CCTV footage. Now to a story all about a complete idiot. But before I tell you the tale, I must take you back in time. Do you remember Crocodile Dundee and that very famous scene where he's held up by a thug who pulls out a 6-inch blade and demands money? Crocodile Dundee looks at his puny blade and smiles at him, and he then says, "This is a knife," whilst pulling out a much bigger knife. Well, what you're looking at now is that very scene. And please note that Crocodile Dundee's knife is about 18 inches long. But, Croc, my man, you have never met Cambodian Dundee, who could himself say, "Call that a knife," as he was arrested with this monster. I mean, holy God, it is truly frightening, and you may recall that I called this man an idiot. Well, allow me to clarify that with a further picture, because these are images of this man hacking at another man with that very blade. Now, in the name of the sainted prayers of all that is holy, what the bloody hell do you think is going to happen when you attack someone with a weapon as fearsome as that? It is truly horrific. The attack itself happened in Phnom Penh, and the attacker, with 14 of his pals, assaulted other gang members, all with various weapons. The victim was seriously injured. What a surprise. And it was not long until the 19-year-old attacker was arrested, and he now faces criminal charges. One of them, unfortunately, is not for being a total lunatic. Now, something much worse than being stabbed. Charges have been brought against a Mr. Saron, who is quite simply evil. And as well as that, 8 of his associates have been charged, allegedly with stealing money from over 5,000 people. So how do you rob 5,000 people? Well, you do what seems to be in fashion at the moment. You set up fake land deals, get your victims to borrow money from banks and relatives, and then you rob them blind, leaving them financially ruined for the rest of their lives. It's the same old story. Some sociopath who only cares for himself promises extremely high interest rates on investments. But it is all lies. Judges and clerks have had a Herculean task, as they have questioned over 5,600 victims. For once, in one of these stories, it actually quotes what promises were made. And they are so unbelievable, I have to reserve the right to say there may be a typo. For what is said is one investor who filed a complaint was a 70-year-old farmer. And he has alleged that last year he was persuaded by Mr. Saron and his associates to invest in their company in exchange for getting a higher monthly income. He says he was promised that they would pay him $7,000 a month for each $10,000 he invested in their real estate project. Now, to get this absurd deal, Mr. Saron knew that the elderly farmer did not have any money. So they got him and his family to use his land title to borrow money from a bank? God, no. Just no. The group of men have completely and utterly devastated this old farmer's life. A 70-year-old man who was lucky enough to live through the horrors of the Khmer Rouge era, just to be robbed by young men who were his fellow countrymen. And now the farmer cannot pay his loan, and he is under threat of being thrown off his land, homeless at the age of 70. And you want to know the maximum penalty of doing this to nearly 6,000 people? Well, it's a jail term of between 2 and 4 years. Hardly seems fair, does it? God, that last story annoyed me no end. As I was typing it, my fingers were crashing into the keyboard. So let's keep the temperature up, as now we head into a story about the weather just before we do the weather. As, oh my goodness, hasn't it been hot of late? And it's been so hot, it is in fact deadly. Asia is in a heat wave, and as the temperature reaches the 40s here in Cambodia, Thailand has announced that over 30 people have died, attributed to the high temperatures. Mr. Chan, spokesman of the Secretary of State of the Ministry of Meteorology in Cambodia, has stated that the maximum temperatures in Cambodia of 42 degrees are the highest recorded for 170 years. However, Mr. Chan says that the temperatures will start to drop in early May, which is nice. But experts have also predicted a higher than usual rainfall in May. Not so nice. At current, Bangkok authorities issued a heat warning as the temperature index says temperatures are expected to rise above 52 degrees. Crikey! Remember, that is temperature index, not actual temperature. April is usually the hottest time of year in Southeast Asia. However, the temperature situation this year is strongly influenced by the El Nino effect, making it that bit worse. These are record-breaking temperatures, so keep yourself fully hydrated and don't, I repeat, don't do something dumb like build your own sauna in your house and then spend your afternoons in it. Which, oddly, is exactly what I do. It's time to have a look ahead and see what the weather has in store for us next week. Right here we are at the weather. What an absolute delight, wasn't it, seeing me in my sauna like that? Oh dear, what a joy for the ladies, I'd imagine. And some of the men. Why not? Why not? That's what I say. Do what you will. Okay, here's the chart. Now, you know what it's all about. It's about hot, and it's dang hot. We're looking at 40, potentially 41, potentially 42 in some areas, and that's all that needs to be said here. Rain is on its way, so don't grumble about the heat, because soon you'll have something else to complain about. So luxuriate in the warmth, because, well, it's just so much better than anything we get in England. This has been the Khmer Times News. Please do subscribe and comment and stay up to date with all the breaking news by following us on both Facebook and Telegram. This has been Paolo Bonini, and that was the week that was. I'll see you next weekend for your weekly roundup.